Hello again, YouTube. So, if you accessed this from RC Crawler Forums, you probably saw my post about YETI XL shocks on a standard YETI, a 10 scale YETI. Well, yes, it works. There's just a few extra mounting procedures you have to go through to get it to fit and clear all of your bars through here. So, if you compress the suspension all the way down, you can see there's barely any clearance. Not enough, like if you mounted it from the inside, it wouldn't work. So what I did, I took off the piece that would go across here, and where it would mount up, you can see a small dowel hole. In the front, it also has one. So I bored it out and mounted the shock there. Now, how you do this, start off by taking your tire off. Then you dismount your current shock. Then you can save the bottom for later, but if you want to, go ahead and do it now. The shock that I'm going to be using is a Mad Max YETI XL. It's 150 millimeters, but stock spring won't do from that shock because, no joke, it is about 10 pounds per square inch, so you can't run that, obviously. Smaller buggy, and that just will never ever work. So what I did, went to Axial, got a 1.6 pound per inch bottom spring, which is 26 by 70 millimeters. I bought dual ring spacer for the shocks, and then the top spring for the dual rate, I ran a 26 by 40 millimeter. That is 2.6 pounds, which will, when your suspension travels up, it won't bottom out as easily. So I definitely recommend those spring rates to anyone who's doing crawling or anything like crawling. So then you remove your shock, and so when you try to mount up the shock in the form that stock shock came, you'll notice that nothing will line up, bolt holes won't line up, anything. So what you're going to do, you're going to take this hole right here and try to bore it out with your wrench. So then, take your bolt and see if it'll fit through. once you get it to the point where it does thread in, don't bore it out anymore, or else when you go to put the final torque on the shock, it'll just all fall apart, and then you'll have to get new pieces. So just thread in your bolt a few turns once it works. So mine will go in. So now I'm going to back it back out and put on the shock. Save all your hardware from your stock shocks. They fit perfectly into the shocks that I bought, so the shocks that I bought didn't come with any hardware, so that was a dilemma. So I saved my old hardware, even though it definitely isn't the best. So you take your bolt, put it through bushing, thread it in. Do not put on the final torque yet, or else this won't be as effective when you try to mount it in the bottom. Okay, so that's good for now. And when you try to mount up your bottom, you're going to have to mount it in the back, you will realize. Something else you will realize when you try to put it down in there. This coupler end right there, it's just, when you put it down in there, it sits above the bolt hole, so that won't work. You'll have to take off the rear bolt. Pry out the existing bushing. So then we'll try to put it in there, but nothing will ever line up. You'll realize that. So what you're going to have to do is mount it on the outside. It has to line up. Then take your bolt, put it through. You can see it'll land about midway in there. So what you're going to do, you're going to take a pair of pliers and then grip on to the nut. Hold that in there tightly, or else it'll fall in there and you'll have to start all over on this again. Make sure it's pinned on the bolt. Turn it until you can feel it start to grab the bolt. Once it's starting to get in there, reposition your pliers, then continue to tighten it down. You will want to put the final torque on this. So once it's kind of tight, let off, and you have like a bit of clearance there on when it's all the way out traveled. So don't worry about that. Now I'm going to tighten down the top completely. Don't completely tighten it down, leave just a little wiggle room. So if it ever does get in a bind, it has a little room to shift. So I don't have my steering servo in it right now because I broke a few gears in it. So I'm, in the next video, going to show you how much better it performs and how much more up travel and down travel it has. As you can see, just on the general shock size comparison, the YETI XL shocks are about 2 centimeters longer, which is a noticeable difference when you mount it on the back. My drive shaft doesn't bind or fall apart under pressure, which you're going to want to make sure that it never tries to bind. U-joints stay free of bind too. So be sure to subscribe and see you next time, YouTube.